What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Thrifty, back with Thrifty PS Gamer Reviews. Thank you for stopping by to the channel. Like, subscribe, comment, do all those things, and without any further ado, we're going to get into Stellar Blade. Let's start with graphics. So, first of all, this game was made by Shift Up. Shift Up is known for mobile games. Kind of filtering everything through the lens of that, while at the same time grading it against its contemporaries. So, the graphics in here are absolutely gorgeous in the open world. The open world looks amazing. Quality of shadows looks good. Wish they would have put in some ray tracing on here, some more lighting in the sense of how the shadows move. Wish they would have done some more in that department. But for the techniques that they used and the things that they did, I think they did really well on those things. Now, it is lacking, like I've already mentioned. It's not going to be a Horizon or even a God of War, but it is a solid game when it comes to the graphics. It is very consistent. I do not notice any pop-in or visual glitches or anything like that. The game runs really well in balanced mode and in performance mode. All of the footage you're going to see has been captured in balance mode, but in this game, also on the 60 FPS mode, it works fantastic. And so, kudos to Shift Up for doing what major, massive AAA companies have been unable to do for a lot of this generation, and that's give us games that come out day one ready to go. So kudos to them in that department. Next thing I want to briefly get into is the sound. And the sound mix on this is pretty bad. And by sound mix, I mean I've had to go in and tweak all the settings for music versus voice versus all of the sound effects, and I just felt like the mix is a little off. All the voices seemed super quiet, and all of the sound effects were very, very loud. And so, just one little gripe about the sound is that I did have to do some tweaking on it. Now, with that being said, the music is absolutely phenomenal. The music is so good. I cannot stress enough how much the music sucks you into the world just as much as the graphics or the gameplay or the settings that they put you in. The sound of the music playing in the background literally kind of lulls you into that feeling of, man, I'm in the game. Like I am in it. And if you're not a sound person or a music person, it might not do that for you. But for somebody like me who's played JRPGs almost my entire gaming life and really gets like a ton of enjoyment out of the music or the tracks that are playing in the background, Stellar Blade has absolutely knocked it out of the freaking park. I love the music in the game. I also excuse me. I also love that when you go to your little camps, and this is kind of going to bleed over into gameplay a bit, when you go to your camps, you can play different songs, you can sit down, just listen to the music. So they've made it seem like the intent of the music and of the songs is to be enjoyed. It's to be listened to. It's to sit down and chill and just be transported into the world of Zion. And so I love the music. And I love that they put a heavy focus on the music. And so I've already kind of touched a little bit on part of the gameplay loop, so let's go ahead and get into the gameplay loop. Because the gameplay loop in this game is very... what's the word? It's very simplistic. It's not asking you to do too many things. So basically how it works is you get to a section, and when you get to that section, when you get to the major city, you're going to have quests that opened up via a quest board and also by way of talking to people. And you get these side quests, and then you go complete them. Sometimes it's go kill this thing, find this person, grab these items, just basic normal stuff. Sometimes it's furthering along an investigation. And so you have different things that you get to go do, and then you finish out the story by going to the main quest and following that quest line and doing all of that. In between there, though, as part of the gameplay, as you're going to experience combat. You're going to have different things that you can find in the world, either lore pieces or pieces of pieces of gear or items that you need to use to level up gear. And all of that is done while exploring. All of that is done while going from point A to point B, or from quest 1 to quest 2 to quest 3. And it offers a really good mix because they are throwing the combat in there as well. But it's nothing groundbreaking that we've never seen before. You're not going to come into this game and have curveballs in gameplay or have really unique thoughts in gameplay. But they do deliver well on what they're doing. It's just like in the graphics section I talked about. There's not ray tracing. The shadows look good. They could look a whole lot better. Reflections, I would have loved to have seen reflections when Eve is in the water, or how the way the light should bounce off the water that I'm used to in current gen games. But the things that they do in graphics and also in gameplay, they do very well. I don't feel like anything has been too mundane or too rudimentary, and I think that that's a big part of gameplay. You can have solid gameplay and do exactly what another company has done. Evil West is actually a great example of that game, or of that, because they literally took the combat and the camera style from God of War and shoved it into a game with a cowboy hat and a gun. And it worked because they did it well. Stellar Blade does their gameplay loop very, very well. You go, you get your quest, you go out, you complete your quests, you get rewards, you get items, you get lore, and that, I think, helps push it forward. I'm getting things that pertain to the story. And as part of their gameplay loop, that's another thing I do want to hit on, is this, like other games that I have done reviews on, lets the player kind of control how much of the story they want. So you can just do all the voiced sections of the game, and you're going to get that story. Or you can heavily explore everywhere and pick up these files, pick up these dossiers, pick up these little nuggets of like last conversations that people had with loved ones, and all of these play into more of the lore within the world. And there's actually some really spicy things that are said in these lore documents that are completely and 100% optional to find. You don't have to do any of them. I love it when a game does that. Final Fantasy XVI did that with kind of their encyclopedia system, and I thought that that was so good because it let the player decide exactly what they wanted and how deep they wanted to go. Love games that do that. And Stellar Blade does that within their gameplay of exploring and finding things and collecting more stuff. And so it's just one thing that I want to let people know, is that it's not overly innovative, overly groundbreaking. It's not doing anything like that. But it is giving you a solid, consistent gameplay experience. And one of the things I have mentioned in gameplay is the combat. Oh, crud. One of the things I forgot was within the gameplay loop, there is a skill tree, there is a level up system. There are ways to make Eve better and to make the game easier for you. Like you can extend parry windows, you can put skill points to have your beta skills, which are your special attacks, kind of level up, not level up, but recharge faster. And so you can use them more often. There's things you can do. You can earn a double jump. You can get more combos. You can get more special abilities. You can power up your special abilities. And so there's a ton of stuff, but it's also super simple. Like, there's a lot of things, but I'm at a point in the game right now where if I get 2 or 3 skill points, I just pick one that takes 2 or 3 and I shove it in there, because right now it's not that difficult to choose because I'm down to only a few options. When the game first started, I went heavy into extending parry windows and increasing my combos. But that's also another element of gameplay. Now, let's get into combat, because combat in the game is 100% the absolute best part of the game, second only to music. Second only to music for me, because I think the music is amazing. The music is absolutely stunning. Anyways, combat. You have probably heard people say that this is a Souls-like game, that this is a game that is definitely from the Souls cloth. I disagree. Yes, it has a parry. Yes, it has a perfect dodge. But parry and perfect dodge do not make a Souls game. Most of your games have a parry and a perfect dodge. Or a parry and a dodge that leaves an opening for a window that gives you a counter. Like, that's just basic action game. And I think that's what we have here, is we have an action game. We have an action game that has a couple RPG adventure elements, but at its core, this is an action game, and the combat speaks to that. You have finishers that you can do. If you parry away enough attacks, you take these little orange boxes or yellow boxes away from enemies, and when they get down to 0, they're opened up for a retribution attack, which is an amazingly powerful attack. It's a finisher in most cases, and against bosses, it takes away a massive ton of damage. That's the other thing. The combat with the bosses is extremely, extremely difficult. The combat with most of the regular enemies, not that bad. It gets a little hairy when you get 3 or 4 or 5 things attacking you at once, especially if they shoot projectiles. In the section I'm in right now, I'm just about to leave here actually, but in the wasteland there is these creatures that have like a gun for a head, and they will absolutely all fire on you at the exact same time, draining all of your health and making you come back for more. And sometimes the enemies, they don't move slow either. And so, main thing I want to say about combat is it's not a Souls game. It is not. The other thing I want to say about combat is it does all the things I love. It's fast, it's fluid, and it's challenging without being overly oppressive. And I think that's the best balance that a game can find. Is one, you give the player the option of, hey, do you want to play on this mode or do you want to play on an easier mode or a story mode? Give the player the option, and then even with that option, you should make combat challenging but not oppressive. And I think Shift Up nailed this and knocked it right out of the park. And one of the other things that I really love about this game is all the little, like, subtle hints and subtle homages to games of the past or series of the past or movies. One of the train stations has a plaque above it that says Matrix, and I have to believe that that's in reference to the Matrix movies. There's another area at the very beginning or close to the beginning when you're going up some stairs that if you look to the left you see in big neon where it says 2B, which they've already said that Nier Automata is the Nier series is a big influence on this series. And so, love that the developers have given flowers to previous games that have inspired them. And if you want to know what this game is more like, this game, I would say is more like a Devil May Cry than an Elden Ring. Anyways, guys, that is my kind of my thoughts on Stellar Blade as a game, my first impressions. It's not gospel. It's not something that needs to be taken completely serious, or like this is the only opinion on the game. I gave you some good. I gave you some things I'm not too thrilled about. That's all I have, guys. Appreciate y'all stopping by. Once again, hit that like, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, stay thrifty.